Hey everybody, it's me again, Adam Chapnick with the Security Token Academy, and we're here in LA at CIS 2019. I am pleased to be joined by a gold corporate member of the Security Token Academy, the founder of Vertalo, Mr. Dave Hendricks.
Hey Adam, how are you?
It's great having you back.
It's great to be back.
Yes, maybe the returning champion.
Wow.
It's possible.
Top of the leaderboard.
Top of the leaderboard,
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Thank you.
So I always love talking to you, as you know. And today we actually have some interesting stuff to chew on. We're going to dive right into. What did you want to start with?
Well, I wanted to start with some news that came out of Silicon Valley a couple of weeks ago. There were two interesting events which kind of came through the news. They didn't come together. They came over a span of a couple of weeks. Specifically, Andreessen Horowitz decided to change their entire business model. Do you know who Andreessen Horowitz is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Andreessen Horowitz is kind of a big deal, right?
Yes.
I mean, besides being one of the largest and most successful VC firms in the Valley, they've also really gone all in on crypto. They made some big investments. They invested in issuance platforms like Harbor. They've got a partner, Chris Dixon, who's really pretty dedicated to crypto. And so, when they make an investment in this space, people take note. So the big news about Andreessen Horowitz was they have decided to forsake being a venture capital firm, which is weird. Like, why don't you want to be a venture capital firm anymore, right? And what are you going to be now? They've decided to be a registered investment advisor.
Right.
So they registered all 150 of their employees. It's a really, really interesting development. Now, in and of itself, it's kind of weird. It's like, why would you do this? Because, you're doing a pretty good job at being a VC.
Yes, they are.
Well, a couple weeks before that, news had leaked that they were leading a $300 million round in Carta. Do you know who Carta is?
Yeah, sure.
So Carta is a cap table company. They've been building cap tables for venture-funded firms for better part of a decade. Now, Vertalo is also a cap table company. We happen to put our cap tables on blockchain, which we think is a great technology for creating a connection between issuers and investors. Carta does theirs behind a firewall, and it's a little different than ours, and they've got a head start.
But blockchain does solve a very particular pain point around cap tables.
Yes.
I can say from experience in startups, that's a huge headache that just having it on the ledger would really help.
Right, well, it's about provable ownership,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And if you've ever not owned something that you thought you owned, that is kind of painful.
Yes.
Well, so when these two items, with Andreessen Horowitz leading around in a cap table company and becoming a registered investment advisor really struck me as not a coincidence. And the reason is this enables Andreessen Horowitz to start buying and selling secondary offerings. By being a registered investment advisor, those companies that are on the cap tables managed by Carta can now be bought and sold more easily through the Carta X exchange, enabled by the team at Andreessen Horowitz. So basically, Andreessen Horowitz has the ability now to make these private VC investments more liquid.
Wow.
Now, liquidity is obviously a really, really big topic.
Yes.
It's
the holy grail in some ways.
It's the holy grail. Liquidity is the whole reason for security tokens.
Right. Well, a major, yes. Right.
It's the whole reason to me, okay?
Okay.
The reason for security tokens is taking private assets, and making them more saleable.
Yes.
Okay? Not absolutely liquid, but just more liquid than they were before. And the way that they do that is by having your ownership of the private asset on chain. It's easier to connect them to sources of secondary liquidity. Sources of secondary liquidity are exchanges and broker-dealers, or ATSs.
Yep.
So now you've got Andreessen Horowitz that has made their team into basically a broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. They have now a connection to Carta, which has all of these private companies, these private assets.
Yeah.
Now, maybe do you think that they're going to try to take some of those private assets and make them more liquid?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So that, to me, in the last month, was really the most interesting news. And it wasn't like someone had a fireside chat at a crypto conference about it. These guys just went and did something really massive. Qualifying 150 people is not something that you do casually.
No.
So
What an indicator. I mean, that's a very
yeah.
strong indicator for the
Yeah.
space. And it's funny because we're here, as I mentioned, at CIS, and yesterday there was a security token focused event just on the issues surrounding security tokens.
Yeah.
And the question that came up on almost every panel is, how are we going to get to liquidity? How are we going to
Yeah.
get to liquidity? And this is really interesting as an indicator
this is
for
really
how we're going to
interesting.
get to liquidity.
And the way you get to liquidity is you've got to be able to connect the cap table, the ledger of ownership, to a source of secondary liquidity. You need to make it so that someone who owns something doesn't have to go through a really, really painful process that could take months to sell what they own. And they also need to know what they own. Right?
Well, right. Yeah, that's important.
And so, people say, when liquidity, right? And yesterday I gave a talk at a keynote at the conference, and I wanted to focus on the concept of whales, okay?
Okay, great, yes. Let's hear it.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, Andreessen Horowitz is a whale. So let's talk about the sperm whale, okay? The sperm whale has a 15-month gestation process, okay? It takes a long time to make a whale, and then a whale lives for a really, really long time. Basically what we're doing here is it takes 15 months, maybe 18 months from the beginning when you think about doing a security token offering to when it trades. So you've got to do all the work with the bankers and the lawyers, then you got to raise the money, okay? And then then it sits there for a while until you can sell it, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so it takes a long time to make a sperm whale, okay? And so that's the same thing with
My
security
mother
token
always
liquidity.
said that to me.
Yes.
Yes.
So and when the whale is born, it becomes the king of the sea.
Yes.
It's the and it lives forever.
Wow.
Okay, so that's what we're building. We're building assets for the long term. You've got to be patient. But the mechanisms, okay, the purveyors, the techniques, they're all coming together now. And look at Andreessen Horowitz for signals of imminent adoption.
Wow. Dropping the wisdom.
I'm just Encyclopedia Brown. I'm just trying to put a couple things together.
You are very securely atop the leaderboard here at Security Token Academy. But before we let you go, tell us a little bit what's happening for Vertalo next 6 months.
Yeah, so I can't really talk about the next round of funding
Good night.
that we're starting in May, so that we can take the blockchain-enabled cap table to any company that wants to have the option of tokenizing.
Amazing.
See, the thing about blockchain and cap tables is if you put your cap table on blockchain, you don't have to issue a token, but it gives you the option, the ability
Easily,
to issue a token later.
Yes.
And if you're in this business like we are, you're here because you believe that this is a mega trend, right? So Vertalo is working to capture the early part of that mega trend by helping companies raising money to put their cap tables right on blockchain for self-sovereign ownership of the things that people are investing in. Connections between issuers and investors. We're taking this to market now. We've got too many clients, too much work. So it's getting busy and exciting.
That's the best kind of too much.
Yes.
We like it. Well, thank you again for joining us at Security Token Academy. It is always a pleasure. Can't wait for the next one.
See you soon.
Dave Hendricks.
Cheers.